somewhere.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. I don't know the rest of the words, except that they treated that chick like like shit.
What am I looking at here? Oh, there we go. There we go. There she blows. She's
Like they doped her
blowing.
up on methamphetamine to make her skinny and keep her awake for acting. And then it was actual aluminum in the paint for the Tin Man. So he ended up getting like all kinds of crazy cancer because of it. I can hear myself. You're like you're echoing.
You're echoing.
You're echoing.
Yeah, you're really loud.
Am I? Oh, how about that? Is that any better?
I think so. I turned you down to 70.
Let's see. Do do do
That'll
do
do, pig.
do 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 do. Everything all right?
I was honest with your mom. I was like, I put the jump rings on it. I was like, but I would not recommend wearing it because I don't think it's going to hold. And I showed her why. I showed her how easy it was to pull them apart. And she's going to go and actually have a professional get a good chain and have them solder a ring on it.
That's what they need to do: is solder something on.
That's what I told her. I was like, I can fix cheap shit. I was like, but if it's something important to you, like, and something irreplaceable like this, I was like, I'm scared to.
We're both echoing. Why are we echoing?
Because your dad's, your mom and your dad. That's what your dad said. Because your dad's, your mom.
There, I think that sounds better. Oh, well, said, damn it, Smokey, you got me all worked up. I was like, we fucked up. They got a problem. Although I will say that the
Echo. I
I
don't
think
know.
that's
My
really
echo's too
loud.
far away. You're
There we
both echoing. Look, who am I? You're both echoing.
go. You're
They're both echoing.
Pop out activity feed. Fucking Rune Weird. Oh, that's old. That's an old activity feed. Haha.
Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. Ping pong, ping pong. Sing song, sing song.
There we go. Over here. Damn it. There she goes. There we go.
Let's do that. Let's go ping a bong to the ping pong.
Bing bong.
Yeah, now. 108.
Yep, 108. Plug my phone in here so it doesn't die on me.
You can't say that.
Ooh.
Can't talk about phones dying. You have to say your phone unalived.
Keep my phone from unaliving. 20 seconds.
I'll save it. We'll start the episode with this because I'm so fucking tired of seeing these.
Transition, yay!
Game is
Oh,
running.
shit.
Oh, okay.
Every time.
What'd you do?
It
You
doesn't.
forgot stuff that you do every time and you forgot it? So
Well,
I'm so fucking tired of Google on the Chrome app, like when you look on your phone,
hmm
there's always like suggested articles. And because I watch Star Wars, it's always showing Star Wars stuff. So, 20 years later, Star Wars is finally bringing back its scariest space structure. I didn't even click on I don't know what that means. But this one fucking, I don't want to click on it. Last Jedi's coolest scene broke one Star Wars lightsaber rule. Dun, 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 dun.
there was no cool scene. Oh no, wait. Last Jedi was the second one. Well, the throne room fight was pretty good. I'll give them that.
No, it broke one Star Wars lightsaber rule. I'm tired of these fucking clickbaity. They're not even clickbaity. I literally don't want to click it. You made me not want to click your stupid fucking article because your title it makes you sound stupid. He broke the one rule. This one the lightsaber rule. They broke
If you go back and watch that scene, and when
the throne room.
the throne room scene and during that fight, when it's like a close up of like Kylo fighting, but you can see Rey in the background. Um, there's a like a miscue with the choreographer and the guard, whatever they are, the lobster troops.
Yeah.
He's got like they've got like the knife or whatever, and he actually like ends up like stabbing her, like not like real stab, but it actually looks like Rey gets stabbed.
Oh, but they like
Yeah.
edit it out.
Yeah,
Like where he put his lightsaber, where it should have went through her or something.
right. Yeah, it should have killed her. It
I'm
was
glad I didn't say what I was gonna say then, because I was gonna say that's the one fucking scene that Ryan got correct. Like not correct, but it's good. The one good scene that he put together, which isn't true. I guess the fucking the sand the little sand speeder, whatever the fucks with they have the dick comes down
yeah.
and the dick drags in the sand and it turns red because the blood or whatever.
It had moments that it was good. Like there was some like you said, um the visual effect of what it looked like of the fighters moving through the salt, and then
Yeah.
the throne room fight was like it's probably one of my favorite lightsaber battles of all of Star Wars.
Yeah,
But
what are they? The ski speeder.
yeah,
Whatever the fuck.
and then it has another typical like favorite character that dies really easily and like gets no justice. Like Phasma gets killed and dies in a way kind of like the way Boba Fett falls into the Sarlacc and is very like unceremonious.
Yeah, just yeah.
It's kind of like, oh well, guess she's dead. Which now Boba Fett isn't dead, and people are all butthurt about that.
No, he's fine.
Which I liked Book of Fett.
Who wrote Book of Fett?
That's more F and F.
I don't think either of them actually wrote on it though, did they?
They consulted at the very least.
Yeah, well, they consult on everything at this point. Executive producers: Favreau, Filoni, Rodriguez, Kathleen Kennedy. See, her name's on it too. That doesn't mean anything. She didn't do
Let's
fucking shit.
see. Well, it says Dave Filoni, George Lucas, Jon Favreau, Noah Clore were all writers.
Created by Favreau. Written by Favreau, Filoni, Favreau.
Yeah, so they had a lot of input.
Well, Favreau had a lot of input. So I'm only wondering because I wonder if either of them watched that scene with Patton Oswalt where he basically fed them.
I don't know. I don't know if anybody's ever actually asked that question.
It's pretty much like almost fucking
Yeah, it's
word for
yeah,
word.
word for word. Yeah, as I say, it's spot on. Well, how you been? We've kind of had a bit of a hiatus for the last week. I kind of feel bad. It was 100% my fault. I was at a convention last week, and I just completely forgot to like message you and say, "Hey, I won't be able to do the podcast tonight." Like I stood you up, and I'm sorry.
Oh, I wasn't even probably gonna do it anyways. My wife and I weren't feeling good.
That doesn't make me
Uh,
feel too bad, but yeah, no, I totally. It was like Tuesday, I think, in one of the group chats. I was like, "Oh shit, I forgot to message Oreo."
yeah, that's all right. I think Cafe Rio fucked us up. I don't know, something we ate. Probably Cafe Rio. Never having that again.
Hmm.
It's a fucking waste of money. It's not even good.
Yeah, Heather had her own taste of bad food while we were at the con. She ate some Chinese, and it just she spent all Saturday in the room just sick.
Must not have been real Chinese then.
No, I think.
Because real Chinese wouldn't do that to you.
Oh yeah, never. What I had was good. I liked what I had, but yeah, man, she got so sick.
Is it? It's not. I was gonna say, is it just me? But I know it's not me. It's literally happening. It's not even a conspiracy theory. The quality of literally everything has gone down. Everything fucking sucks now, everywhere. Not just food, shoes,
Well,
clothes.
we've gone to a disposable economy. Like
Well, yeah,
everything is meant to be thrown away.
it worked with the light bulbs, and they're like, "Fuck it, let's do that for everything." The light bulbs is the most surprising one when you tell it to somebody who like just doesn't know like reality.
Yeah.
They're just so far separate, and you tell them, "No, no, no. That there's literally laws that you cannot make your light bulb last too long, or you'll be fined.
Yep.
Your light bulb has to fucking suck."
There was when my parents had a restaurant out in the boonies years ago when I was a kid, and they had a little light bulb that they kept on in the well house to like keep the pipes from freezing. And I'm pretty sure that light bulb was there when the well house was built back in like the 30s. And it's always been on. I don't think anybody has
It's
ever
still
changed.
on.
It's probably still on today. 30 years later, it's probably still on.
That's like that one in the. There's a YouTube video about it. The one in the firehouse that just passed
Oh
like
yeah,
1,000,000 hours or some
yeah.
shit.
Well, we didn't do any planning whatsoever for this episode. And we didn't talk about it. We were just like, fuck it, we'll do it live.
Yeah, we did. 120 years that light's been on. I had to look it up real quick.
So what have you been up to the last 2 weeks?
Just wondering when they're gonna like fix our economy. It blows my
Spoiler.
mind. Like I think we talked about it last episode that we did, not last week, but last episode we did about how there's still like new apartments and buildings flying up everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
but there's no new businesses. There's nobody hiring. Everyone's firing. Everyone's laying off like crazy, especially like in the big industries and the tech industries. Microsoft laid off more people after
Yep.
that first 12,000 they did. They just laid off a few thousand more. Like, but there's still dumbass invest. I say dumbass, but they're not dumb because they just get bailed out. It literally means nothing to them. I seen a. Have you read that Rich Dad Poor Dad
No.
or heard about it?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I gotta look up his name. A lot of people might have heard about it. It's a pretty famous book by Kiyosaki, Robert Kiyosaki. All right, so he's a real estate investor. Um, and he has a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, which Poor Dad was his actual dad. Rich Dad was his friend's dad, and his friend's dad, like the title says, was rich. And the whole book, I haven't. I guess technically I haven't read it. I listened to the audiobook. That counts though, right? That counts as
It's got to because I haven't read a book in forever, but I've listened to a lot of audiobooks. So I hope that
we're
counts.
we're too busy grinding through this fucking shitty economy, working nonstop to read fucking books. We can only listen to them. But the whole story is about how his rich dad, and this is how he narrates and talks about it the whole time. His rich dad versus his poor dad. His poor dad would stay poor because he had poor ideals, poor ideas, would make poor decisions. And one of the biggest things in the book is how poor people are scared of debt, and how rich people, rich dad, would embrace debt, loved debt. And I literally saw a thing. It's funny the way the Matrix works. I literally saw a video with Kiyosaki like 2 days ago. Like, might have been yesterday. It was a TikTok video, and somebody was asking him, "So I heard you were $600 million in debt," and he said, "No, 1.2 billion actually."
Oh, Jesus. And shout out to Rabble for 11-month subscription.
Hell yeah,
That's
11 months of
that's
bacon.
a lot of bacon.
That's a lot. That's at least 5 episodes. Depending how we go,
Yeah.
sometimes some 11 month stints are that's a lot of episode, and then some 11 month stints are like one episode. But hey, we're almost gonna pass Drunken Halo here in a little bit.
How many episodes did they have?
I thought they had like 128 or something.
That's where they had to have had more than that. I feel like they had more.
Really? Let's look. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Rich Dad Poor Dad, his whole thing. What I was talking about, the economy and investors and stuff. Why it doesn't matter. The rich people. All you need to be rich is money. If you have $1 million,
Sneaky. I mean, okay, you got a point.
if you have $1 million, they'll give you more money. The bank goes, "Oh shit, you have money. We'll give you this loan and this loan and this and that," and fucking then you can just live off of debt. Donald Trump's done it. Fucking every business has done it. Fucking why do you think all these businesses don't pay any taxes? It's because on their sheet, when you look, they're technically in debt. They made no money.
Yep. Yep. They bury
They're
everything in losses.
they're better at accounting than you. You and I can't do that because we don't have enough money to pretend that we don't have money.
No, you're not wrong. I mean, that's the same thing that it's kind of what I'm learning with the business now is the amount of things that I need to do to make sure that we don't make money because of
Yeah.
what we have to pay in taxes.
Oh yeah. Well, why do you think when they go, "Oh yeah, Jeff Bezos paid $1,200 in taxes"? Yeah. Why do you think? He
Yeah.
didn't make any money. Amazon made money, and even then, they reinvested all of it. It like one of the craziest things I ever heard about. That literally our entire system is built to help wealthy people stay wealthy. If you sell a house and then take that money to buy another house, you don't have to pay any taxes on any of that money.
Right.
You pay no sales tax, no income tax, no the 18,000 different taxes that we pay. You know how like you and I we get paid, so we pay income tax. Then you have a business, so you're paying business taxes.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying sales tax. You're paying state tax.
I
You're
think what
paying
I think what the one that annoys me the most is that I have to play. I have to pay both. Well, I don't know how Utah is set up, but here in Virginia, towns are situated inside counties. The only way for a town to not be in a county is it has to become a city. City is its own like entity, I guess, or kind of like its own jurisdiction. But towns
yeah.
exist inside of counties. So if I
So you have to pay the county and the state tax
and the town, that's where I was
and the
going.
town
That's where I was
the
going
whole
with
way up
the whole way
and
up.
the street. Do you pay street tax because you're on this street? You
Well,
pay street tax.
we have to pay stormwater runoff taxes, which is fucking the biggest joke of a fee that I've ever heard of. But
Yeah,
no, that's
the whole thing's fucking crazy when you look at it and realize in the dollar that you make. Look at all the taxes you pay on that dollar. You're paying like 80% taxes.
right. No, you're not
You
wrong.
you you paid when you got the dollar. You paid when you spent the dollar. You
Yeah.
the amount of times that $1 gets taxed and just everyone's paying multiple times on the same dollar, like it's
Well, I'll do you another one that pisses me off. And once again, this is a Virginia thing, or it might even be a county thing. I don't know, but personal property tax. I have to on a the well. Let's see. Yeah, on here for the personal and for the business, I have to pay tax on things I've already bought every year. Now, granted,
yeah.
they depreciate the price, and you pay a smaller percentage, or you pay the same percentage on a smaller amount. as the property ages over like 10 or 12 years. But every year I'm paying tax on something I've already bought,
Yeah.
paid for.
Oh, and if you buy something from out of state, you gotta pay tax on that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah.
that's what sucks. We our company is in the process of expanding. We've had some really fortunate things happen for us, and
Yeah,
we're
that's good.
we're probably in the process of having.
You're gonna pay expansion tax.
Yeah. We've hired two new employees. Um, one is a part timer and one is a as needed. So a little bit different, but
On call.
kind of, yeah. He lives in North Carolina, and if I need him and I have to pay him, he has to pay both North Carolina and Virginia state sales income tax when I
Yeah.
pay him. I have to file. Well, I have to file it for him, which is so fucking dumb. Like it's the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah. It's insane the way the United States is set up. Most first world countries are not set up like that. When you're in the store and something says it's 200, whatever it be, yen or fucking rubles or whatever, it's 200.
Right.
It says it's 200, it's 200. Not in America. It's 200 and then you got to pay your tax on it, even though you already paid tax when you got paid. And then the business has to pay tax that you paid them on that same dollar, the amount of times it gets fucking taxed. Just trading hands.
Yeah.
Like,
And we still have nothing to show for it.
yeah.
We're-
It's crazy. I get so so the it kind of blows your mind when you think about it. Cuz it's literally infinitely taxed forever.
yeah.
That same dollar never stops getting taxed. So they create it from nothing, right? Whatever, they throw it in a computer. Then the bank gives it to somebody that withdrew it, okay? Uh See, that doesn't make sense because it had to come from somewhere. You paid tax when they put it in your account.
Well, that's
Th-
there's a monetary theory called modern monetary theory. I've spent a lot of
yeah,
time reading and researching, and it's really changed the way I look at taxation and the way we spend money in this country.
taxation is theft. Go ahead.
Jesus Christ. um, Let me tell you, we need taxation, and let me tell you why.
Oh, we need it,
We
but it'd
do.
be nice if it was spent
Well,
on
see,
appropriate things
but see, here's the
and
thing.
not to bail out fucking bankers.
But here's the thing. Your tax money didn't go to that. No tax money went to that. No tax money goes to anything the government creates, because the way our government works, the way our the way our financial system works, is when we need to put money into the economy, we just change some decimals on a computer screen, and boom, the money's there.
Yeah,
We're not
nothing's backed by anything
right,
anymore.
right. So there's it used to be for us to put money into the economy, we would have to actually print the money. Like we have to print that money and physically print it into existence.
Yeah.
That's not the way the system works anymore. The government just spins it into existence. We
Well,
we
it's basically a stock.
yeah.
It's just a stock.
And but the counter to that, and this is the problem. This is what a lot of people don't understand, is when you spend too much money into the economy. When we dump too much money into it, we did it in 2008. We did it in during COVID. We spent a ton of money into the economy to keep the economy going. So what
Yeah.
happens? You now have more. You have more value than dollars, which means now you have inflation.
Yeah.
So the value of the dollar ends up decreasing because there's too many dollars in existence, even though it's the same amount of dollars physically.
Well, you flooded the market.
Right. So the only way to fix that, is you have to take money out of the economy. Now, how do you take money out of the economy? You have to tax it. You tax it via interest rates. You tax it by increasing the federal income tax or any type of federal taxes that are being paid into the federal government, because when you pay your taxes, you don't pay with cash. You either have to pay with a check or you have to pay with a bank transfer or your debit card or whatever. You that money is transferred from one account to the other, from one ones and zeros to the other ones and zeros. So there is no tangible physical money moving from one place to the other. So that's
Yeah.
how so that's we have to have this balance of we have to spend
Well,
so
that's where
much.
it gets written off and written out as you
Right.
pay taxes. That
Right.
comes off of their end, so you can reduce how much is technically in circulation, even though again it's bullshit ones and zeros in a
Yep.
computer.
And that's why we have to have a balance. If we're going to spend a lot of money into the economy like we did with COVID, we have to get that money back out on the other end. We have to
Yeah,
dump it into the economy. It has to flow through the economy and then come back out the other end. And that's typically done through raising taxes. But we don't like raising taxes. Raising taxes is bad and evil and negative. So what ends up happening is like what's happening right now is the value of the dollar, plummets and we have inflation increasing. So what do we have to do to fix that? So the only thing that the federal government can do to fix it that doesn't catch a lot of flack from the American people is they have to raise interest rates, which ends up fucking the little person more than anything else because when interest rates go up, it makes it harder for the little guy to borrow money, it makes it harder for small businesses to borrow money, makes it harder for us to build houses and do all the things that we need to do to keep, ourselves going.
yeah. All the
So,
people that don't have money, it's now even harder for them to get money, and when
correct.
they get the money, it's worth less.
Right. Right. So, and we there has to be this balance between both the spending and the taxing, and the average American just doesn't understand that when they raising taxes is bad. Yes and no. I get it on the short term. For the individual, raising taxes is difficult, but in the long term, you have to because
Yeah,
because the way it works is either you pay the money back out in taxes to keep the dollar flush, or you don't pay a lot in taxes, and the value of the dollar plummets. And either way, you're losing value of your bank account, your house, or whatever. So,
the main problem is worse than any of that is because there's so many dollars in circulation or whatever
right,
in our computer systems being transferred around between all of us multiple times. The main problem is prices used to be set based on inflation.
right,
I mean, yeah, there's supply and demand and whatever is all based on inflation. What's the dollar worth? All right, that's what the dollar worth. All right, well, that's what a gallon of milk costs then, because that's what the dollar. The the cost and like value of goods hasn't really changed all that much. The dollar just continues to be worth less and less. You know, in fucking Western times, if you had $5,000, that it was worth a lot. You could, but the like ratio value for like when I go buy a gallon of milk for 10 cents to my $5,000 is now the same ratio of now a gallon of milk is fucking $4 versus $50,000. Like,
right. Well, and that's what the problem that we have today with this huge transfer of wealth.
yeah,
The saying that the rich keep getting richer, and they do because
yeah.
the
Well,
rich the rich
that's the problem is they're taking more than their fair share for their goods and services that they're providing, and
right.
then it trickles all the way down, and the only ones getting anything out of it that is taking more of a percentage are the people up at the top.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is when we're spending more money into existence, and then the 1%, the top 5, 10% are able to gather that wealth, gather those dollars, and hide them away in a manner that can't be taxed.
Yeah, well, then it can't be taken out of circulation, and
Right.
the inflation stays
Yep.
it stays up,
Right.
and they keep raising the prices of all their bullshit that we have to buy.
But the
It's
supply
insane that
chain that pisses me off.
it's insane when I go to get gas and it's $4 a gallon still.
Right.
What do you mean? And then they come out and brag, yeah, these are the most profit. Like COVID really fucked up the world economy on two fronts. It sucked having everything shut down, and it totally fucked with supply and demand and the supply chain. But it really showed all the rich, hoarder dragons of the world that, oh, we can charge whatever we want. Nobody's going to do anything to stop us.
Right.
We can literally brag in their face that we are making record profits and just keep doing it anyways.
While demanding corporate welfare by
Yeah.
us, the American public subsidizing corporations by paying welfare to its workers.
Yeah.
It's like,
While
well,
while while not taxing the corporation or its CEOs, but
right.
taxing all the workers, which again, we don't have a majority of that wealth. It's all in the corporation and in the CEOs, and you're not taxing them. You're taxing all the little people. And it, like you said, it's not making a big enough difference. All it's doing is leaving us with less and less and less and less, and they keep getting more and more and more.
Right. Well, and that's the problem is every time when we get hard up for the economy starts hurting and all of that, what do? Well, we pump money into it, and then that money is immediately transferred to the 1%, the top 5%, whatever, and the little person has nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
I was watching a TikTok today
Yeah.
on 401ks and how 401ks were never meant to be a retirement plan. They were never meant to be your sole source of income when you retire from working. It was supposed to be your Social Security, your 401k, and your pension. And they said they likened it to a three-legged stool. You got to have
Yeah.
all three legs to support the person sitting on it. That's the
Yeah, a little bit from your company, a little bit from you, a little bit from the government,
Yep.
all feeding in to where you still had enough to live, even though you were too old to work.
And then, but what's happened is the huge corporations realized that it's a lot cheaper to do 401k matching than it is to pay into pensions.
Hmm. Well,
And
why do you think they all fucking do it and then brag about it?
right,
We got a 5% match.
speaking of that, speaking of pensions, have you been following the drama that is happening with the Yellow Freight trucking company?
Yeah, a little bit. I've seen a few TikToks on it.
How they've basically have gone belly up, and it's come out that they stopped making payments into the pension plan like 2 years ago, and they said that they're going to continue to make deferments and not pay into the pensions. And then once all that came to light, everybody started pulling their money out of the stocks for the company, and the company tanked. And as of tomorrow, this recording is Sunday, the 23rd. Tomorrow, Yellow Freight's going to close its doors. The sixth largest shipping company in the United States. I don't know how it stacks up
Yeah.
against the world, but it's the sixth largest shipping company
And
in the United States.
so another huge corporation is going to get bought out and further merge and monopolize.
Yep. Yep.
Another huge the problem is like it's continuing to happen. The how there's like four big companies that own everything,
Yep.
and again they're just hoarding and hiding all the wealth.
Yeah, because they're allowed to either a just not pay taxes. They're able to, give away all their money in bonuses and say, "Oh, we don't have any money, so you can't tax us. We gave our CEO $75 million, and he does absolutely nothing."
Yeah,
But so they're going belly up. So you have it's like 37,000 trucks, I think is what they said it was. So, however many.
Amazon and UPS would probably split and buy it all up and continue the entire
Well,
shipping network and all those trucks. They'll
well,
get them for pennies on the dollar.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Like,
Um, but see, UPS is getting ready to have their major strike
no,
because,
they seem very unworried. So
well, yeah, they do. But I mean, they're striking for things that it's a no brainer that they should provide these things, and they don't.
yeah,
They
well,
don't. They
the
don't.
number from what I've seen.
And
'Cause
yes, eat the rich. Fuck them.
because from TikTok, our number one news source platform. I seen a UPS driver that says, yeah, he makes like $38 an hour or something, and he's all, we're not striking for my wages. We're striking for all the little people and all the people they
Yep.
keep putting on part time and like doing all this bullshit so they don't have to pay this and don't have to pay that and don't have to give health insurance and like can still make them work around the clock and still call them, well, they're a contractor, they're not a full-time worker, so we don't have to cover them health insurance and like all this bullshit. It's the same shit as the fucking writers and actors are striking for. Like they're being fucking, it's bullshit.
There's some serious strikes coming,
Yeah.
and it's this summer is going to be really interesting for the worker and unions in general, because you have the writer strike, and then the
Yeah.
actors followed up with it. You have UPS, the largest union in the United States, and also arguably the most powerful union in the United States. You know,
UPS. Well, yeah, they
UPS.
have so many. Yeah.
And not only are they like powerful with their size, it's their influence on the market. Imagine
Yeah. Well,
if all of
the
UPS,
Teamsters.
yeah, imagine if all of all the UPS drivers, everyone went on strike. I mean, it would grind our economy to a halt. And what
Oh yeah.
blows my mind is, it was either Thursday or Friday of last week. Um, the corporate UPS has sent a letter to the White House asking Biden to step in and intervene on these negotiations to keep the UPS drivers from striking.
Well, that's
They should
exactly
never
what
have that power.
UPS.
Should never have that
UP,
power.
that's what UPS wants. You come bail us out. That's
Yep.
another giant corporation that
Yep.
wants to make all the money and all the profits. And this, as soon as things go bad, the rest of us have to figure it out for them and cover the cost.
Well, John Stewart said something. I don't know when he said it. It's could have been this year, 5 years ago, whatever. In regards to corporations, they they socialize the losses while privatizing the gains. It's
Yeah.
always it's always good. They hide their money. They whenever they're making record profits, the money is always their money. They can't share it. They're not supposed to share it. They don't need to share it. Fuck
Yeah.
taxes.
My profits are losses.
Yep. And then when it comes time for losses, oh man, we gotta get some help. We gotta we're too big to fail. We're another Lehman Brothers. We're another Goldman Sachs. We can't be allowed to fail when they should have been.
Yeah,
It would have
it'll be absolutely fine if they fail.
the short term pain. The short
There,
term pain that would have come from the collapse of Lehman Brothers, Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, in 2007, the short term loss would have been a major gain for the 99%, for the bottom portion of America, because the way these banks were gaming the system, they were writing mortgages and giving mortgages to people that should have never, without a doubt, ever been given a mortgage.
yeah,
They should have looked at it and go, "Oh, you have no money. You've been job hopping for the last 5 years. You've had 17 jobs in the last 5 years. Your credit is less than 500. No, no, that you don't get a loan. You don't get a house. I'm sorry, and it sucks because that's the American dream, is to own a house.
well, you can't even own one now. That they're again squeezing every profit. It still blows my mind that they're still allowed to get loans and build more houses when there are literally no new jobs anywhere.
Right.
How are there so many fucking new? What bank is backing this? And again, it's just like Kawasaki or whatever the fuck his name, whatever the guy was talking about, Rich Dad Poor Dad, who says he's 1.2 billion in debt in real estate because they just keep loaning it out. Oh, you have money. Oh, you have assets.
Yep. Well, it's the
The
same.
the
It's the same way that Elon Musk was able to buy Twitter. He didn't buy
Yeah.
Twitter with a single dime of his money.
Well, he doesn't even the funny thing about all these mega rich, the Elon Musk, it's different when we're talking about the Middle East rich. They actually have money. But when you talk about like Jeff Bezos, he has money. He doesn't have 180 billion dollars.
No,
He doesn't have that. Amazon has so many assets they couldn't possibly even sell them off if they wanted to.
no, no, and that's the thing. Like I said, with Elon Musk, what he did is he went to this
Well,
group
he's
of
got a loan and said, I have these assets. I'm
yeah.
worth this much. And they went, oh, yeah, okay, here's your loan.
Well, not only that, this is the part that got me was he went to the bank and said, "Hey, I have all of these shares in Tesla. How about I put them up as collateral for this loan?" And the bank was like, "Oh yeah, sure, cool." So the bank puts up all this money, and then but it's not enough. So he goes to these investors, like these individuals, these hedge fund managers, those types of people, and said, "Hey, I have all these shares of Tesla. Like, let me use it as collateral on a loan." And they're like, "Oh yeah, sure." So it would be the same thing as me going to a payday lender, going, "Hey, I need $500 to make it to the end of the month. Let me put I own my car. Let me put my car up as collateral." And they're like, "Yeah, sure, okay, fine." And
Yeah.
then I go 2 blocks down the street and go to another payday lender and say, "Hey, I need $500 to make it to the end of the month. I'm going to put up my car. I've got a car. I'm going to put it up for collateral." You can't do that. It's against the law to use collateral twice. Like I cannot put up the same piece of whatever as collateral on two separate loans. But he was able to do it, and no one batted an eye.
Well, the rules are different for the rich. They just let them do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, that was my biggest problem with that was the fact that he was allowed to. And once again, he purchased this. That means that he didn't have a single penny come out of his pocket to buy Twitter. He just
Yeah,
took
for 44 billion.
he took money from here and money from here and money from here, and then oh yeah, here you go. And he probably got more money in the loans than he needed, which he was able to do whatever the fuck he wants to do with it. Buy more Tesla stock or whatever. So, and of course now I'm really interested to see what's going to happen if Twitter continues to hemorrhage personal loans to make sure. Oh yeah, yeah. That's the way it was with us, Rabble. When we bought our house, they did everything but like come and like checked under the mattress for money that we had. And Oreo, did I ever tell you the story about how we almost lost the loan on our house and I almost went to jail for fraud buying
No.
our house?
Sounds interesting.
So, I'll preface this and say that we were buying our house during COVID. So that just it put everything, the entire story that I'm about to tell you, put it in the perspective of, okay, COVID was happening during this. So before we bought the house, we were living in this little single wide trailer that we had worked out a rent to own with the landlord.
Yeah.
And it was a 4-year rental lease loan, whatever you want to call it. In 4 years, we would have the trailer paid off. So my plan when we went into this with the trailer, now 6 years ago, was we were going to move into the trailer, pay the trailer off, and then use the trailer, then sell the trailer, and use the trailer's, the money to sell that we sold as a down payment for a house. That was the plan. So then COVID hits, and we pay off the trailer. So we were in the process of paying off the trailer. COVID hits, everything shut down. So what I did was once I found somebody to buy it, we hadn't finished paying off the last payment. We had like one payment left and it was paid off. So I went to the woman that was going to buy it from me. We agreed on a price. And I was going to do this all really quickly because we wanted to use the money for the house, so this could be like this quick turnaround. So I worked out a deal with the woman that was going to buy to buy the trailer, and I worked out a price, and I went to her, and she gave me the money, and I had taken that and basically stuck it in my pocket, and I had gone to the landlord and said, "Here's my final payment. You know, I want to take possession of the title for the house." And during COVID, all of the the DMVs and all the places were basically shut down, or it was you had to make like an appointment 6 months from now to be able to get anything done. So
Yeah.
I asked the person that I had bought the trailer from instead of putting my name on the title, to put her name on the title. I had all the documentation, bill of sale, had all the information, and put her name on the title, so I could just take the title and hand it to her, and then she could go to the DMV and do all of the changing, and we didn't have to do it twice, because otherwise I would have had to have made an appointment that was like 5 or 6 weeks out to go
Yeah.
and change the title and then give the title to her, and then she was going to have to go do the same thing to get it. So I was trying to cut out a step because COVID.
Yeah, but we just talked about you have to pay taxes 14 times on every step.
Yeah,
Q.
yeah. So
They're losing out on their money. You're stealing from them.
Yeah.
You're stealing from the state.
that wasn't even the problem. So I took that money and I stuck it in the bank, and I went to my mortgage broker and I was like, okay, here's my 3.5% that they wanted us to put down. They wanted 3.5%. So I was like, here it is. Here's my 3.5%. And they were already like digging through my bank accounts, the wife's bank accounts, making sure that we had the money that we said we had, that we didn't, like, we weren't hiding money in Zurich or whatever they thought we were fucking doing. And so I'd taken the money and deposited it, wrote the check out, and that was that. And I got a call from the mortgage company, and they're like, "Where'd you get this money?" I was like, "I sold the trailer." Well, do you have a copy of the title? Like, no, I don't own the trailer anymore. I sold it. Well, how did you sell the trailer if you didn't have a physical possession of the title? So I went back and I explained this, like, it was basically impossible to make this work out in the time frame that we were trying to do this in, because I'd sold the trailer, they wanted to move in, I needed a house to move into, so this was going to be like having to move really quick to make all this work. And the woman was accusing us of fraud. You sold something that you didn't own. Like, yeah, I did own it. For about 10 minutes, I owned this trailer before I had them sign it over to the new buyers. And they were threatening fraud. They were gonna cancel my loan, and then I was gonna be really fucked. All because of COVID. All because I couldn't get a reasonable appointment to.
All because them liberal sissies.
It was the worst. It was the worst feeling in the world, because I was already like jumping through crazy hoops. My dad had given me some money to help me to make the down payment, and he gave it to me, and they wanted to know where it came from, and he had to fill out that this was a gift, and all these extra forms they had to fill out. And because of COVID, they ended up receiving 2 copies of this letter that was sent to them, because I had to send them a letter that was a gift, and I had to have it notarized, and the notary sent them the letter as well. So they're like,
it's a cool system we got.
yeah, they're like, oh, how do did you receive 2? Then that was the next thing, is they're like, oh, we have 2 letters here about this gift. Did he give you this money twice? Do you now have double this amount? We need to see your records again. I'm just like, bro, just give me the fucking house. Like, here's my money. Like, my credit's good. My money, everything's good. Like, what are you doing? It was terrible. Terrible.
The craziest part is, like, not always, but it's almost always people that are doing things legitimately and actually have the money and everything get fucking grilled the hardest. When fucking scammers and con artists and stuff just get fucking a blind eye. Yeah. Like that one fucking chick there's the whole Netflix show about that was telling everyone she's a fucking millionaire. And banks were giving her fucking loans for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, oh yeah, sure. Fucking like
Well, there's no oversight. All they want to do is like, oh, you have money. Like there's no oversight checking. Like, do you actually have money? Are you just fronting it? Are you in debt to your eyeballs because you have all these mortgages and all these loans on this property? It's not really yours. Um, speaking of that, I had another TikTok. Um, it was a thing that you remember. Did you ever see the thing? It was during COVID. It might have been in 2021. I think it was 2020. Um, there was a high school that basically scammed the national level high school football leagues, like the big schools that travel and play all the schools. There was this school. It was a charter school called Sycamore. Bishop Sycamore, I think, was the name of the school.
It sounds familiar.
And they had created this fake school and brought in all of these people, these guys, to play football for on a high school level, but like on the top tier high school level. They
Did
had
they not even have a school? They just had a football team?
they just had a football team. Their website was nothing but broken links describing that they were an online charter school, and they scammed their way onto ESPN. They managed to get their first game televised on ESPN against this other charter school that was legit, like it was full of D1 prospects, and they ended up getting beat like 52 to nothing.
58.
58.
I just looked it up.
Yeah, 58 to nothing. 58 to
Yeah.
nothing. And then later it's come out that it wasn't none of the people on the team were high school students. They were all in their 20s. These were all like the never was kids that never made anything out of football but wanted to come back to their glory years. So here was a whole team full of 20 somethings getting absolutely beat down by a bunch of high school kids. But that's not even the best part. Is they went on to play another team like right after that and ended up getting beat out 98 to nothing in one half. Like they didn't play the second half of the game because they were getting beat 98 to nothing. And it was just them scamming, trying to get on TV, and it worked. And then I started digging deeper into it, and I found TikToks of people, of kids that were playing on the team in like 2001, like the year after all this went down, that
Yeah.
they were scammed. None of this had come out yet. They didn't realize that this was a fake school. So they had these kids that were coming, thinking that they were going to be going to this elite top tier school to be scouted by, the best of the best. And this kid was their quarterback. He ended up going to play for them. I mean, he was like a legit 3-star recruit. Like he had a lot of promise, and they managed to scam him into joining this football team. And he's like, the first day of classes came, and I never got any emails of like what classes I was supposed to attend, and because it was all online, or at least that's what they said. Everything was online. So he didn't have any classes, and it was all about football. But he said when it came time to play, all of their offensive coordinators, like all their plays, were literally straight out of Madden. Like they had gone in and copied plays from the Madden books, and that was the plays that they were running.
Well,
And
no wonder they lost fucking 58 to 0.
it was so bad.
Those aren't real plays out of anyone's actual fucking playbook.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it, and I came across it on TikTok, and I was there was a great. I hope ESPN does a 30 for 30 on it, because I mean ESPN got scammed, and even they were talking like during the game, they're like, okay, yeah, number 54. Yeah, we don't have the roster they gave us doesn't have a number 54. We don't know who he is. There was another guy that he was, I don't know what if he was offense or defense, but he was in his early 30s and tore his ACL trying to return a punt. And like this dude like ruined his body by getting beat by a bunch of high school kids in his 30s, tore his ACL.
Oh, they did offer a class. The only actual class offered
Uh-huh.
to the students from Bishop Sycamore was a religious class taught by Johnson himself.
Well, then that was the other thing too, is it came out that the head coach had warrants out for his arrest.
Yeah, he had warrants out. He never paid any of their bills anywhere they went. He never paid hotel bills. He got sued by a bunch of hotels for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Like
He
they
took
had,
out a loan. He took out a loan to buy their football equipment. He took out more than $100,000. He never repaid anything back on that loan.
well,
either.
they had jerseys. Their jerseys had duct tape numbers on them. Like their numbers were put on with duct tape. Their helmets had no, had no logos, had no insignias, no numbers. But he ended up getting fired. The president of Bishop Sycamore fired him. And the president of Bishop Sycamore was one of the defensive coordinators. So he was technically fired by his own assistant coach. But I mean,
How does that work?
yeah. The best part about it all is that when it all at the end of the day, it's Bishop Sycamore High. It's literally BS High. And
Apparently, Kevin Hart's production company is working on a docu-series about it.
oh, really?
Yeah,
It's great. It's absolutely great.
it'll probably be on Netflix.
There was something else like that was going to be on HBO. It wasn't the Hard Knocks thing. There was another thing that was like similar to that was following those.
Yeah, again though, they didn't go through their bank records like they did yours.
Right.
You didn't even do anything. You didn't make up a fucking fake school and
Yeah. Literally.
hire a bunch of fucking drunk idiots you found down at the bar to play for a high school team.
Yeah. Well, and all I was trying to do was try to save a little bit of time and effort on everybody's part so I could get moved into my house as soon as possible. And, they were threatening me with legal action. Homeboy over here, makes up an entire fake school, scams tons of people, scams ESPN to get on national television. Granted, they get spanked, but they were still on national television, which means that they increased their image. Like, yeah, we might get blown out 58-0, but you want to be on TV? Oh, you do? Sign with us. And that's what they did. And it's just like, but yeah, I'm the bad guy.
I don't know how to pronounce his name. I was going to ask you if you know Ivaldis Ramasakis.
Oh, yeah, we go way back, Evaldus, Evaldus.
It just made me think of scams and money. He's the dude. I'm sure I think we might have talked about him. The dude that for like 12 years was sending fake invoices to Google and Facebook and Apple and such, and made out with over $100 million.
Seems legit. I support it.
Because he made, kind of like that. He made like it look like a legit business, look like a legit thing. He made, purchase orders that look legit and was just sending it to their billing companies. I don't know how he got the correct email address or but he figured it out and just started billing them. I think it was small amounts at first, and then he realized he could literally charge 10, 12, 15,000, and the Facebook billing and Google billing just didn't notice.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yes, for 12 years, so 23 million from Google, 98 million from Facebook. Apparently more from Facebook. I guess they don't check their accounts very well. Before, I think it was what happened. I think at Facebook, they brought in like a new intern or a new hire or something that then was like looking at stuff, and they're like, what is this for fucking, what do you mean $45,000 for hard drives? And they like started looking into stuff, and they were like, wait a minute. And then they went back there. So one of the new people at like the Facebook billing, I think, is who eventually caught it. If they didn't catch it, he would still be doing it today. They just never noticed.
Yeah, I can see
That's
that.
that's how big they are, that they literally don't notice over the last 12 years that, oh yeah, we just accidentally overspent 100 million. Whoopsie.
One of our competitors before our company existed, this was back in the 90s, but what they would do was they hooked up with a collection agency. That the collection agency was like, hey, any of your past due invoices, we'll buy them for 40 cents on the dollar. So it's like
Okay.
you're not able to collect collect the debt. We'll buy that debt for 40 cents on the dollar, and then we'll handle the collections. And they were like, well, okay, we can't collect it, so you best of luck to you. So the collection company bought a ton of this bad debt that this company had, and they realized that there was no oversight as to what the debt was. So for like 4 years, they would create invoices for customers and show them as they were late, behind on payments, whatever it was, and would turn around and then sold that bad debt invoice to the collection agency once again for 40 cents on the dollar. And
for a fake,
yeah,
non-existent person.
well, no, this is what they got in trouble for, and where they got in
It was
trouble.
actual people
It was,
they were
yeah,
charging people?
it was actual companies that they were invoicing legitimate companies that were their customers, and then turning those invoices over to collections. The collection agency was paying for the debt, and the collection agency was going after these companies for this bad debt, and it took like 4 or 5 years before the collection agency realized that they had been buying fake debt, and there was lawsuits involved. It was a big thing. Meanwhile, they our competitor, the company,
Yeah.
come payday, if they didn't have enough money in the bank account that held their payroll, like the amount of the bank account that held the payroll. If there wasn't enough money in that account to cover payroll, they would write a check out of another account to go into the payroll account. Well, the banks during that time, it wasn't like now where everything was all done digitally and through the computers and everything. So when you took them a check, they automatically deposited it into the account, and then on the backside is when the check cleared, and then the money would be transferred from one bank to another. So there was this 1 to 3 day gap between when the check was deposited into the account and when it would actually clear.
Yeah.
So what they would end up doing was they would take one check and write it into the payroll account, and if that other account, if it was short, well, they write another check from another account and stick it in that, and then by the time all of the checks caught up to each other, they would have time to make a deposit in the last account to bring the balance up, so it all kind of bounces down properly. The legal term is kiting checks, but which is fraud, which is illegal, intentionally writing bad checks. But that went on for years. All of that came out at the same time as the collection scam.
Even when they investigated their accounts, they probably didn't scrutinize them as much as they did you.
Yeah, I guarantee it. Once again, they were able to get away with it for years. Years they were able to get away with it, and then I had worked. I went to work for this company right out of I was in college. I knew they weren't the most reputable company.
Yeah.
But I was in college and I needed beer money, so I didn't care. Paycheck was a paycheck. But there was a few times that come payday, like we'd all grab our paychecks and like run out the door to go cash our checks on Friday, and like the person in front of me would get their check cashed, I would get my check cashed, and the guy behind me, his check would bounce because they were that low on funds in their payroll account. And then you would, and it happened to me once, and I went to the owner and I was mad, and I'm like, this is bullshit. How do you not have money in the account? And he just reaches in his pocket and pulls out a wad of $100 bills, and it's like, here, I'll just pay you cash this week. And oh yeah, just crazy shit. There was a
they could probably get along.
Yeah, no questions asked. There was another guy that he didn't need to work. He was retired, but he was working to make enough money to pay for his insurance because his wife had cancer. I mean, this is a terrible story. Yeah. And he worked for them for years. And come to find out, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the insurance stopped paying for her cancer treatments. Is because the company just wasn't making the payments on the insurance. When they were taking the money out of his check
Yeah, not paying it.
and not paying it. And
So he started cooking meth,
pretty much.
and then they made a story about it on Netflix.
Yeah. Well, the same thing is the reason why I know a lot of these stories is my dad worked there too for a while, and there was a
So
time
he's had
where
some shit.
there was a time where they were not paying taxes for their employees. Like they were taking the money out of your check, saying, "Okay, yeah, we took X amount of dollars to pay your insurance," and they were never making the payments. And one of the guys retired and went to go on Social Security. And back then they would look at the last 10 years of your Social Security payments, like how much money you made the last 10 years, and they would base your monthly payments on those last
Yeah,
10 years. Well, he was working for this company for like 15 years, and when he went to file for his Social Security, they didn't give him any Social Security because the company hadn't been paying into it. They'd been taking money out. This dude worked for years for this company, and yeah, apparently this had happened. It wasn't just this company; it was systemic across the country, and they've now changed it to where they pick your 10 best years that you worked, and that's what they base your Social Security on, not the last 10 years. But yeah,
good. That's so much better.
yeah, but yeah, this
It
poor
doesn't
dude.
really change or fix anything.
Yeah,
but-
this poor dude worked his entire he worked over a decade with this company and had been paying it had been coming out of his check, so he thought everything was being paid, and sure enough.
I swear, the place I used to work, swear they're doing some shady stuff.
Okay.
I even have a buddy who still works there, and I saw him the other day. And don't ask. Oh no, I do know why he had it. He came to our store to open an account, so he had on him his W-2, and he was like showing it to me. He's like, look, explain this, and he showed me his last paycheck stub, and he showed me his W-2, and it was like $6,000 difference for the amount they showed for how much he made. So what he's paying taxes on. Like it wasn't even close. And the thing that you reminded me the way the guy would pay you with cash. They never did that to me, but the thing they did that they did all the time. All the time. Like I swear to God it would happen to me like every 2 months.
Uh-huh.
And it happened to everyone. So probably every single pay period they did it to multiple people. They would accidentally short you some hours. Oh, oopsie daisy, shorted you some hours.
Yep.
I'll add it on to the next check.
Yep.
Okay. I'll add it on to the next check. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to write you a check now. I'm going to write you a check now for the amount. So let's say they shorted you $100, right? So she'd write you a check for $100. Oh, wait, I've got to take the taxes out. It wouldn't be $100.
Yeah, it'd be
It's
like
going to be
$81.
Yeah. Oh, so here's $86.50 for you, and you go, oh, okay. So then you get your next check where they forwarded that money to you. Guess what they would do? It would show $100 on there, and then it would take the taxes out again.
Yep.
Every single time they did it. And I swear to God, I was the only person there that ever said anything. I'm like, none of you notice it? They're double charging you taxes. I guarantee she's pocketing the 20, $40 she's ripping off every single one of you every fucking payday. At least
without a doubt. Without a
at
doubt.
least one or two of you are getting shorted. And like she's literally doing the short change fucking thing. You know the whole
Yeah, the
old
short change scam. Yeah. Yeah.
She's literally doing that to employ. Oh, oopsie daisy. Oh, but I got to take the taxes out.
Yeah.
Writing a physical check, and then you're getting re-taxed on the same money that you never got paid. Like,
Yep. Oh,
but to you, it looks legit because you're like, yeah, I got $86.50, and on my check it says $86.50. Like, if you actually think about it,
yeah. You've been charged twice.
you got charged twice because they never gave you that $100.
Right.
So it shows that they did give you the $100.
And now that now that my job entails me doing payroll, I can tell you
Hey.
that she absolutely was fucking you, because when you go to
I called her out on it one time, and she's like, "No," and like she argued with me for like 20 fucking minutes.
no, absolutely she was fucking you, because that money is like, I'm assuming she probably uses some kind of accounting software. It may not be
Yeah.
QuickBooks, or it could just be an accountant. But whatever
I
the
don't know.
case is, that money, you have to write a separate check to the IRS, to the state, to pay those taxes. Like, so when I
Yeah.
when I do my payroll at the end of each week, I write my checks out to my employees, but QuickBooks then takes that balance of what I took out of their check and transfers that to the IRS. So I never see
Yeah.
that money. That the money is just boom, one place to the other. So if she wrote you a check, a personal check, or even a company check, doesn't fucking matter, and then turns around and says, "Oh well, I need to take the tax out of it," you can't just take that $25 or whatever it was that she took out of it. She can't just take that and then send it to the IRS and be like, "Oh, here it is." It don't
Yeah.
work like that. You have to
No,
you have
it
to
doesn't.
se-
It
you have to
doesn't
send a
come
form
out
with it.
until you do it. Yeah, it doesn't come out until you do it through payroll.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is the companies they just think you're that stupid, like then you just
Yeah.
won't notice. Like,
But
no, it
but
don't
so
work
then
like
they
that.
add it in and go, oh, so then they minus $100 from like, oh, we paid you $100, but because of the way the IRS charges tax, they taxed it as if I got that $100 on that paycheck.
Right?
So the IRS is still taxing. Oh, you got that $100.
Yeah,
We're gonna take that 1250. But she already took the 1250, so I ended up paying 25 fucking dollars
right.
in one.
The
Like,
the IRS got their money, so you're good.
Yeah.
On your at the end of the year, you're fine, but
Yeah.
you're also still just short $12 or $12.50 or whatever it was that you're
and
not
this
going to
was
get
this
back.
was like, man, how 7 or 8 years ago I worked there. My buddy still works there. But yeah, I argued with her, and I didn't work there for much longer after that. After I realized, 'cause for a while I didn't, it just happened. Oh yeah, whoops, sorry. Like, things happen. Sometimes you forget, or somehow shorted us again, or
Right?
the thing had a problem logging in, or whatever. Sure, all right, it happens. But after I realized, like, wait the fucking minute.
Yeah.
And I forget who. There's another guy that I tried telling him, and he's like, "Oh, no, I think it makes sense, but even if not, it's only like $5 or $10, and like she probably just a mistake." I'm like, "You literally think she's that stupid? She's just smarter than you."
Yeah, if let's say she's got 30 employees, and she scams 10 of them by like,
Yeah,
oh,
for-
what's with $12? Well, that's $120, and say she does it maybe twice a month.
Yeah, both paychecks,
both-
and then
yeah.
for the whole year.
Yeah, for the whole
That's-
year, she's now up $12,000.
Yeah, that she just pocketed for free.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
well, $1,200, not 12,000. But yeah, $1,200. Well, more than that, doesn't matter. 14 and change.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just up that. She
Yeah.
she's made that extra. Well, I'll tell you another one. When the company when Heather worked for the hotel chain, and I won't say who, because I know they're not listening, but if they are, fuck you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, fuck you, Hilton.
she was working for a management company, and that
Yeah.
management company managed, they didn't own, but they managed 3 hotels in the area. And what they would do is they would have, if employees, they wanted that employee, or the employee wanted to do it, they could work at the different hotels. So she ended up, basically, she was a sales manager for all 3 hotels. Well, so when she would work for Hotel A, she would chart her hours. And then when she worked for Hotel B, she'd chart her hours. And Hotel C, she would chart her hours. All right?
Yeah.
Well, the management company didn't pay her. The management company would take those hours and tell those hotels to pay her work. So she was being paid by the individual hotels.
Yeah.
All right. Well, she would work 40, 50, 60 hours between the 3 hotels, but they would never they'd never pay her overtime, because, well, she only worked 30 hours for Hotel A, 30
Yeah.
hours for Hotel B, and 30
the
hours for Hotel.
same.
Yeah. So she
They don't
never.
have to give her benefits. Wasn't overtime.
And it ended up screwing us 1 year because they counted her as a part-time employee for all three at all three hotels.
Yeah.
And if you have a part-time employee that makes under a certain threshold, you, the employer, are not required to pay or to take taxes out. That you just you pay it and then the employee pays it at the end of the year. It's just it's almost like a 1099, but it's not. It's just you don't meet the certain threshold. Well, all of her money was direct deposited, and I never saw it, and she never paid the attention to the check stubs because if you get a direct deposit and you end up with a check stub in your hand, who checks them? Nobody
Yeah.
does. Nobody looks at them. You
No.
just throw them in a drawer, you throw them away, whatever it is that you do with them, you don't look at them. So we didn't catch it for the entire year that they were never paying the taxes on her. So
Yeah.
at the end of the year, when I was doing our taxes, and I was like, oh yeah, we should get $7,000-8,000 back with child tax credits and all the other stuff, and no, we ended up owing like $2,000,
Yeah.
and I was like, I kept doing the math, and I'm going back, and I'm using TurboTax, and TurboTax is saying I owe this money. So I go and I get like the forms and a calculator, and I do the math on pen and paper, and then I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? And then I finally, I'm going back through looking at all the individual W-2s and whatnot. It's like, oh, she didn't pay a dime in FICA. She paid Social Security. She paid her
Yeah.
Medicare, but FICA didn't take anything out. And yeah, we ended up getting fucked that year. And all just because corporations were like, nah, we don't have to pay that. Which means they took that money, they kept it in their bank, which means they got to keep the interest on it. It's all for them.
Yeah.
8 dependents.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I got 19 dependents. I'm exempt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of fucking. You reminded me of another to get away from payroll and economy for a second.
It's the Pigs Pod tax bitch fest.
Maybe we should ask Heather this if she's the hotel expert. You reminded me of a story that I still think about all the time, and I'll never go back to the Hampton Inn. Fuck them. Okay, I'll tell you the story. So we are going on a family vacation.
Okay.
My son was like 3 or 4 or something. So it's like one of the first like family vacations he might actually remember. So we're trying to do a fun thing. We're going to Thanksgiving Point here in Utah, which has like a dinosaur museum, a fucking petting zoo,
That sounds fun.
fucking mini golf and water park and like all this shit like all right by each other. So we're gonna do all this fun stuff. But we need a hotel. We're gonna stay there because it's like a 2-hour drive from here.
Okay.
So we're not gonna go and try do everything all in one day.
Right.
We're gonna stay at a hotel for 2 nights, right?
Okay.
So a full weekend, and then we'll come back on Sunday. So we get there, and I should preface this by saying my wife's biggest fear, and I think it's because her sisters picked on her, when they lived on a farm, they would throw snakes at her. So her biggest fear, she fucking hates snakes, right?
Okay.
It can't, like, the people that have phobias when they see that thing that they're
Oh yeah.
deathly afraid.
I
Yeah.
own snakes, so I meet lots of people that have that phobia.
Yeah, where they just, no, 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 I'm done, and
Yep.
now my whole fucking week is ruined. Yeah.
Yep.
So we get to the hotel, and, we're unpacking our stuff and everything. Out from underneath the fucking bed comes slithering a fucking snake.
Oh no.
And it wasn't, I don't think it was a rattlesnake, but it had the scary, like, pattern that made it look like it could have been.
Right.
And you have on top of that, my wife is like deathly, afraid of fucking snakes, hates them. Like, so we were like out of there, and we, told the hotel, we're like, we're going across the street, we're going somewhere else. We're not staying in your hotel. You guys have snakes in your hotel, like, and
Right.
so they tell us, no, please, like that's absolutely our fault. Like, please just stay here. I'll tell you what, your stay is on us. We will take care of your stay. Don't worry about it. We feel awful about this. We'll take care of your stay.
Okay. Reasonable.
Yeah. And we're like, okay, fine. Just because you're going to take care of it, we're going to stay. Like, that saves us some money. Otherwise, we would be gone. We're out of here. So, like, we have our whole fun weekend, super fucking awesome and everything. And I'm like, oh, cool, we got a little extra money too, you know, because we budgeted out. But now
Right.
we're not having to pay for the hotel
Yeah, so now you got a little
because
bit more spending money.
that unfortunate thing that happened. So, we go to check out, and they're like, all right, and here's your receipt. And they hand me a receipt that they charged us like $120. I'm like, what is this? I thought you guys were taking care of our stay. And she's like, no, 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 we took care of that one night.
Oh,
I
they
mean,
only
no, you
comped one night.
No, no, no. You said you were taking care of our stay. Don't worry about the weekend. Like the way you worded it, you
Right.
said, we'll take care of your stay. Don't worry about the weekend. That's what you said. And like, so I was on the phone, like, because I didn't like, I just didn't notice it until we were out in the car. And I was like, yo, hold up, wait a minute. And then I like checked my bank account and saw that indeed they charged us, you know, they only comped the one night. The rest of the weekend they charged us for. And so I'm on the phone, like complaining to the front desk. I'm like, hey, you guys literally told me you'd take care of the stay. What do you think that means if you said you'll take care of
Yeah,
the stay?
exactly.
I'm like, we would have been gone. Like, and I explained the whole thing to her. My wife's deathly afraid of fucking snakes. We found one in our fucking bed. We're leaving. We don't want to stay there. The only reason we stayed is because you said you'd take care of the stay. And then out of nowhere, in the background, comes on. Hi, I've been listening in the background. I'm actually the CEO. I own this hotel. We can't afford to just give away free weekends. You think we can just afford to give away free weekends?
Well, we can't afford to stay in a snake-ridden hotel.
We can just afford to give away free stuff and everything. I'm like, well, I'll tell you what. Since you're so good with numbers, we'll never stay here again, and we live here in Utah. How often do you think we're gonna come down here? So you're so worried about that other couple nights. I'm like, everybody that I have, all our family, everyone that comes here will now not come to this hotel
Right, you
Because-
screwed us.
because you screwed us. I'm like, if you only intended to pay for the one night, then say that, and then I wouldn't have stayed. We would have left anyways.
Right.
But you screwed us and worded it in such a way on purpose to be fucking shady. No, 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 we didn't. I'm like, you absolutely did.
Yeah,
You
without a doubt you did.
You fucking did. What do you mean? No, you absolutely did. You never said, we'll comp tonight. You never said that. You said, we'll take care of your stay. Enjoy your weekend. I think that's exactly how they worded it. We'll take care of your stay. Enjoy the weekend. Something like that, almost word for word.
Right.
Which is, you know, the weekend's on us. That's what that fucking means. That
Right.
doesn't mean tonight's covered. We promise there won't be any more snakes. That's not what they said. So yeah, it's just one of those things that every time I even go by that hotel, I'm like, what a fucking shitty owner. And he listens into the phone calls in the background,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
just waiting for his moment to come in and go, you think me, a fucking making six figures a year, can afford $120 to just comp you?
Yeah. Which they don't, the amount that they have invested into that room is negligible.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
you
they-
have 90 rooms in this fucking hotel, sir.
Right.
You absolutely could have afforded that. You're so fucking shitty and shady. You probably pay all these ladies minimum wage. You probably have them working 36 hours, so they're not technically full time.
Yeah.
I know you. You're a fucking piece of shit, shady garbage man. Like,
Well, a lot of the hotels, they'll only pay you. I mean, they only pay their housekeepers based on the rooms they clean. Like they don't
Yeah.
even get like a true, like a true hourly rate wage. They
I
get
bet
they
I
get a
bet he
number
goes
of-
through after they clean too and goes, well, you know, room 19 wasn't actually very clean, so you're gonna have to re-clean it again, or I can't pay you. I guarantee he's a real fucking piece of work. I tell you what, like, and like I get it too. I get it. Yeah, okay, you're giving away free stuff. That's not the point. We would have fucking left if it was just for one night. No, that's not enough. No, we're
No.
gone.
Yeah.
We're in the hotel across the street.
No, anybody
It was-
in that industry would have comped your entire stay. Because it was what, 2 nights? Is that right?
Yeah, it was just
just
two
two
nights.
All right. So,
No, just the one. No, just
Yeah.
had to comp the one. The other one, nope, sorry.
Yeah. So what? $300? They're out $300, and they're
Yeah.
out $300. But they guarantee that you're
Well,
going
they
to come.
guarantee now we come back there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell our family and friends because they're he doesn't own all of them, but they're a national chain, Hampton Inn.
Right.
We're gonna see their name and recognize it and go there again. Like,
Hotels are really weird because there's you're not even really you're just buying the license to put up the Hampton Inn sign. Like that's
Yeah,
it.
you're
Like
buying the fucking
you, you're not
it's
a
a franchise license.
well. It's not even really a franchise. It's just
Well,
it's really weird the way the hotel industry works because you have the owner of the hotel the actual they own the physical hotel
yeah,
and then what they'll do is they'll pick a hotel chain brand or whatever, and so long as their hotel meets the requirements of that
yeah,
chain,
the
that
minimum and have the correct logos
right,
and floor plan and whatnot. Yeah,
they will buy that brand, and then they'll be the Hampton Inn or whatever.
yeah, and
But
you'll pop up on their website when
yeah,
you go to Hampton Inn and you type in that zip code.
right. And as far as a Hampton Inn is a Hampton Inn. But
Yeah,
meanwhile, you've also got these management companies that they're the ones that are managing the hotel, but they're not paying the employees. They're just they might be paying the hotel manager, like the general manager, and they might be paying like the top brass at the hotel. But all of the rank and file employees, they're paid by the whomever it is that owns the hotel. So they may not even be getting, they may not even be Hampton Inn employees.
yeah,
They might, they are, Joe Smith Corporation employees. So it's really weird the way that industry works because Heather worked in that industry for a while. My stepfather has worked for a hotel management company for almost 40 years as he's a corporate maintenance guy. He travels around and trains other maintenance people and handles like some of the bigger projects and things that might arise with the hotels. And it's just really weird because this is a hotel management chain that you as a hotel guest would never know that this management company is affiliated with the hotel at all. You just know it as the Hampton Inn or the Best Western or whatever. you know. And
yeah,
meanwhile, it's being run exclusively by this management corporation, where the owner is paying the management corporation to do everything. That management corporation, they hire, they fire, they handle all of the internal stuff, the maintenance, the landscaping, everything. Everything is handled through that management corporation. But
yeah. Hampton Inn has nothing to say about
no,
it,
Hampton has nothing to say about it. Like
or Hilton or whoever the fuck.
right.
Same thing.
So when people are like, "Oh, I'm going to call and bitch to corporate," okay, what are they
Yeah,
going to do? Nothing.
yeah. They don't. They have nothing to do with anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nothing. They nothing. So it's if from what I've seen, if you really want to make an effect on hotels, is their review process, like when you're going on the Yelp or
yeah. I'm pretty sure
Trivago or whatever.
that's one of like maybe 3 times in my life where I fucking have left a review. There's one other time that still makes me fucking rage when I think about it, but I don't know how long we've been going. I don't know if I want to talk about it and get
Yeah,
upset.
we're almost an hour and a half. So we need to get into
Yeah, franchising as a whole is super fucking weird because like
yeah. Well,
McDonald's has it figured out because McDonald's does franchising too,
Yep.
but they will buy the land and then rent the land to the owner of the restaurant.
Yep. So if the owner of if the restaurant goes belly up, McDonald's still has a way to get out of any of the debt. If
Yeah.
the restaurant can't pay its bills and can't pay for the mortgage and all that shit, and they go and they flop, McDonald's can turn around and sell the land and recoup their losses. You're
Yeah.
right, they do it right. Starbucks is similar to that. The Starbucks franchise is if you have a standalone Starbucks, like the actual like storefront or store Starbucks, those are actual Starbucks brand Starbuckses. But like Barnes and Noble will have a Starbucks inside. That's not a real Starbucks. That's Barnes and
Just
Noble.
licensing.
Barnes and Noble has paid the licensing to have the Starbucks brand in their store, but all they buy is the licensing. They don't buy the recipes. They don't buy any of the product. So if you go to a Barnes and Noble and order a caramel latte, whatever, it's going to taste different than if you went to an actual brick and mortar Starbucks, because the brick and mortar Starbucks has the Starbucks beans, they have the Starbucks coffee, everything is Starbucks. But over
Yeah,
here
they're
at Barnes,
legit.
over here at Barnes and Noble, they could be buying just the cheapest shit they can get, and they have no recipe. They don't know how Starbucks makes their shit. They just make it the best way they can, and that becomes the way they do it. And
The
it's really weird.
the craziest part of like restaurant franchises are some of the franchising fees for some of them.
Oh, it's obscene.
Have you ever had Freddy's steak burgers?
That's a West Coast thing.
Okay, well it's Freddy's steak burgers. I don't remember how. If I looked, I can't remember. It was years ago. I have seen, and I assume this is how they all do it. I don't know if it's true or not. I have seen the Freddy's franchising book. They have a booklet that has all their rules
Right.
and their pricing and everything. I've seen it. I've fucking looked at. I can't remember where or who I fucking ran into or how. I just remember I have looked at it. Freddy's has a franchising fee of $500,000.
Holy hell, a year?
No, to start.
Oh, okay.
But that's just the fee to say that you're a Freddy's.
Right.
You still have to buy the lot, and then you have to follow their plans for your restaurant. And I believe they had 3 different plans. You had to pick like A, B, or C. Here's what our building's going to look like. They give you all the contact for all the vendors that they go through.
Which
But
is
then you're
probably
buying
also
all the
owned by
food.
Freddy's.
Yeah. So you're paying $500,000 just to say that's your name.
Right.
Then you still are doing all the other costs, and it's like it's crazy. I
I've
guess if you're an investment like a venture capitalist or whatever, I get it because that name can fucking carry you to profits.
right.
You don't even have to worry. They have all the recipes and the fucking vendors and the food. They'll send you all that shit. You have it all figured out. You don't have to figure out, do I need a fucking 5-star chef or do I need to find someone that's a good line cook or like you don't
Right.
even have to. You hire fucking minimum wage high schoolers and they have the whole playbook of how to make it work. But it's crazy some of those franchising fees to do that.
I having worked the field that I work in the fire protection industry, it puts me in close contact with restaurants of all shapes and sizes. And the type of people that think that they can run a restaurant. I genuinely feel bad for some of them because so many people I have dealt with over the years, it was him and his wife, and they were sitting at a restaurant, and
Yeah.
they're oh man, $40 for this meal, really? I bet they got like $4 of investment in it. I could do that. So they think they can. So they scrape all of their money together. They manage to come up with $200,000.
And
And
they're gonna do it.
they're going to do it. They rent the space. They
They got her grandma's recipes.
Yep.
They've got
Yep. Yeah, they got all this stuff, and they spend all this money. They spend $80,000 to $100,000 in kitchen equipment, and then all the costs to set it up. So they're going to have $100,000 in that. Then they spend another probably $20,000 in tables, chairs, plates, decorations, decor, all of that stuff. Then they've probably got they got to spend another $50,000 in licensing and all that for whatever restaurant it is. So their money's gone like right out of the gate. They've renovated, they've remodeled, they've got all their employees, everything is set and ready to go. They haven't bought food yet.
yeah.
And here it is.
Well,
They
and
make
it's not just hamburgers and buns. You
Oh,
got to
it's
think
everything.
salt,
Yeah,
ketchup,
but
pepper.
here's where it gets crazy. Is you call up whatever food vendor you use, and you
Yeah.
tell them, okay, I need to make an order, and you make your order. Well, the food distributor, he shows up. He's got his tractor trailer and all his stuff, and he's unloading all of your food into your nice brand new $30,000 walk-in freezer that you bought.
Yeah.
And when he's done, he hands you an invoice, and he doesn't leave until you pay him. You have no credit. You have no rapport with this vendor. They're not going to give you credit.
No.
You have to buy all that food up front, which is another $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 to stock your first food order.
Yeah.
All that
before you
salt and all your
sold a
saucers. Yeah.
thing.
So
Yeah.
here you are. You're over $250,000, if not more, into your business, and you haven't sold a single fucking hot dog yet, or whatever it is. And then people like wonder why these restaurants pop up and close and pop up and close and pop up and close. It's because it's way more to it than that. It's so expensive to try to
Yeah,
run a restaurant, and
Well,
then
and like, there's so much you don't think. When at the end of the day, all the stuff that you accidentally overcooked, you
Oh, yeah,
you
thrown
cooked too
away.
much.
Yep.
You cook too much and it's gone. It's just you have no way
Yeah.
to get that back.
or and not just cooking it. Like, okay, I think we're going to sell 150 chicken breasts today. Let's go ahead and get 150 chicken breasts out and start them thawing.
Yeah. Then
know,
you sell 37 of
And
them.
then you sell 37 of them. So it's
Yeah.
it's shitty when you fuck an order up and you just throw it out. Like, that makes you feel bad. But then at the end of the day, you're looking at all this food that you had prepped and got ready to go, and you have a shitty day, and now you have to throw all of that away.
Yeah, you can't. Well,
Yeah.
some restaurants don't. That's
Yeah,
really
that's another thing.
it.
But and then the other part too is when you think about a restaurant, you want to let's just say you don't do breakfast. Let's just say
Yeah.
you just want to be open for lunch and dinner. All right,
Lunch in there, yeah.
lunch dinner. So you probably open at 11, and you probably stop cooking at 9. All right. Well, that means if you open at 11, you need
That
to
means
have
you got to be.
you gotta
have
be in there
cooks there.
9, 9 o'clock in the
Yeah.
So they have to be there. You're paying them. You're paying them for 4 hours out of your day that they're not producing anything for you up front. That's
Yeah, just for prep work.
That's just
and
for prep work.
fucking- Yeah.
so what you end up doing is like, well, I'll prep the stuff. I'll come in and do this. I don't want to have to pay somebody to do it because that's too expensive. So now you're rolling your ass in at 9 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning to start prepping all this food. That means you're there all day. You're the manager on duty. You don't want to pay another manager, and you have to have a manager on duty that's over 21 so you can have your liquor license. Which you don't even get to pay. You don't even get to have. I mean, I can't speak for Utah, which I'm sure Utah is probably worse for alcohol than Virginia is.
Their laws around liquor it's so fucking weird.
Like, you
and
have
stupid.
to be in business for 30 days before you can even, here in Virginia, you have to be open for 30 days, and then you can apply for your liquor license. And then that liquor license usually takes 30 to 60 days for it to be processed. So if you're wanting to be a bar, you're not selling alcohol for the first quarter of the first year you're in business. So, who's going to go sit and watch the football game and eat chicken wings and can't have a cold beer to wash it down? No one does. So you have to account for that type of losses right out of the gate. Here you are, you're sitting in that restaurant going, I can fucking do this. This is cheap.
Yeah, no, you can't.
No, you can't.
I would
No,
I
you
would love
can't.
to see the numbers on how many restaurants closed because of napkins.
Yeah. Well, I'll
They-
tell
maybe
you-
not just napkins, but like napkins and little cups and little all the little things that you don't even think about when you and your wife are in there going, we can make a better burger than this for fucking less than $15.
Yeah.
All that little stuff that you don't think about.
And it's crazy. I mean, the amount of upkeep and the expense. I mean,
Yeah.
I see it all the time in my industry, where a restaurant's getting ready to open, and they have to put this huge hood above all their cooking appliances. You've already dropped like $80,000 on just your
just big
range,
equipment.
on your
Yeah.
equipment. You got $80,000 in that, and then it's like, okay, well, you're cooking with grease. That means you got to
Yeah.
have fire protection. So you need to put this big hood in. Okay, well, you need a 12-foot hood, which you don't think it's that big, but 12 foot's pretty big. But you've got a lot of equipment. So all right, so I'm going to put this 12-foot hood in. All right, that alone is $30,000-$40,000, and that's just to get it drop shipped. That doesn't account for getting somebody to hang it. Have to run all the duct work. You have to cut holes
all
in the ceiling
exhaust and everything.
You got to, and then on top of that, then you got to put your fire system in it.
Yeah.
And
No, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But
I just quoted for a restaurant about 2.5 hours from here. They wanted to put in, their hood was a big hood. It was like 16 feet. It was a big hood, and they were going through this other company. They were basically paying this other company to handle all of the logistics of doing all the opening and whatnot. So that company comes to me and is like, "Hey, we're gonna, we want you to put a fire system in this hood, 16-foot hood. Well, I've done some of the rough calculations, and could you install it for $4,500?" I'm like, "I don't know. That maybe. Let me run some numbers." So me and the other guy there, we sat down and we worked up all the numbers for this, and I couldn't even buy the equipment from my distributor for $4,500.
Yeah.
So
just to buy the
just to
basic,
buy
not
it,
even put it in yet.
Yeah, I haven't even paid anybody to go down and put it in yet. I'm just to have the parts sitting in my shop was over $5,000. So
No, restaurants are not a good business.
no,
to get in.
no, don't do it. Restaurants are so bad to do.
Yeah, one of my favorite classes in high school was history, and it was because our teacher, we could get him talking about stuff, especially businesses.
Mm-hmm.
He was an entrepreneur. He owned like 3 businesses, and he had a '68 Chevy Nova that he spent about $300,000 on. And he'd race on the weekends, and he's teaching history, right?
Oh, that's
But
he's
you
one
could
of the
get him.
best.
You could get him talking about something, and that would then fill the whole hour for the class. We wouldn't even
Yeah.
get to history.
I had
We didn't
teachers
talk
like
about.
that.
Yeah, we George Washington, this and that. But anyways, of businesses, yeah. And one of his biggest things, he'd always talked about how for a few months he looked into starting a restaurant. And this is, I think, when I first learned how smart McDonald's is. They're one of the best at it. The number one thing for a restaurant that almost nobody fucking talks about, and how you guarantee a restaurant's gonna fail, is location. Isn't it so crazy when you see a restaurant open and close, and then another one coming soon, Lula's
Yeah.
Hawaiian, and you're like, that place.
Yeah, wasn't
Obviously,
that
that location doesn't fucking work. What? You think the food was just bad? That's why it failed?
Yeah. Oh, I've seen it. I've seen it hundreds of times in my field that
Yeah.
somebody will come in and they'll rent this building out and want to put a restaurant in it. And as a matter of fact, I got this. It's a hotel story and it's a restaurant story. One of the hotels that is not far up the road from here, they had a restaurant in the kitchen, and the restaurant or the kitchen area was falling apart. Like the owner of the hotel didn't want to put any money into it, so and the owner of the hotel didn't own the restaurant, so you would come in and you would rent that space out from the hotel, and open your restaurant up. So he put all the maintenance, all the upkeep, all the everything on the owner, on the company that's wanting to come in and open the restaurant.
Yeah.
And there was a problem with the gas line, like it leaked, and
Nice.
to fix it, the gas line, it came from outside and then went under the wall through the foundation and ran along underneath the floor and came up through the floor into the kitchen, and that's where all the
You do
hookups
that?
were. Yeah, in this particular, you could. That wasn't the
okay.
problem. That wasn't the problem. The problem is somewhere between where it came out of the floor and where it came from the meter, there was a leak
Oh.
somewhere.
Oh, nice. Well, you got to tear all that. So he was waiting for some restaurant to move in and just they'll
Yeah.
front the bill to fix that.
Well, most of the time they never told anybody. He never said that this was an issue. It wasn't until like one of the restaurants was in there going, "My God, we're getting like triple the gas bill. Like, what the fuck is going on?" Well,
Did they pass their fire suppression tests with a leak?
nobody ever noticed it. Like
Yeah.
it was just it was under you couldn't smell it. There was
It
no
must have just been like a slow enough
yeah.
to
It was never noticed.
on your bill you notice, but who
Yeah.
knows where the fuck it's going.
So finally somebody complained enough, and the town came out and did a pressure test on the gas line, and it was like, "Oh yeah, you've got a leak somewhere. You need to fix it." And
Yeah, see that I don't know. I guess the town might be different. Some every single license they sell, they'll retest it. If like a restaurant just opened,
yeah, in some
I
instances,
believe
yeah.
I believe that's how we do it in Utah. If you just bought a light, and they do this for every business, car dealerships, fucking laundromat, whatever. If you just bought a business license and had to pay for all your, everything, inspections and all that stuff, and then it closes after 2 months, somebody else buys the building and opens a new business, even if it's the exact same thing,
Yeah.
Utah will make you repay and redo all those inspections and shit. So that's what I was thinking. I was like, how did they
Well,
they just never
testing the gas line is not something that gets tested. That's a building issue. It should be on the building owner. The owner of that building never changes. So there was never any speculation as to what was going
Yeah.
on. It was just who was operating inside the building.
He
So
had to have known.
oh, he did
He
know.
had to.
He
He had to have
absolutely
seen
knew.
those bills.
Yeah, he absolutely knew. So the town came out and was like, "Yep, this is a problem. You need to fix it." And they gave him 30 days to fix it. Well, in the time that this happened, to the end of that 30 days, the restaurant that was in there went out of business and closed.
Nice.
So the gas leak was forgotten about. Gas was turned off. Nobody paid no attention.
Oh, yeah.
Short
Just happened to forget about it
Yep.
again.
Short amount of time later comes and they open back up. A new restaurant's in there. It flags to the town, being like, "Oh yeah, there's a problem with this." So the town comes back out and says, "Yeah, this is a problem. We're going to write you a ticket. You got 30 days to fix it." Well, it didn't get fixed, and the restaurant, the new restaurant that came in, was like, "Well, this isn't my problem. This is on the owner. This I moved.
Yeah,
I
that
just
was a thing before I ever got
yeah,
here.
this is the thing before I ever got here. This wasn't my problem. So the building owner wouldn't fix it, and the restaurant owner wouldn't fix it. And finally, this all went back and forth, back and forth. They came out another time, wrote another ticket. This went back and forth for like 3 months. And finally, the fire marshal came in and had a padlock and a chain, turned the gas valve off, chained it shut, put a big red lock on it, and it was like, "Do not remove," the penalty of the fire marshal, jail and all
Yeah.
this stuff. So so they shut the gas off. Like it was in the middle of food service. It was like in the middle of lunch. He rolls up and
him.
just shuts it off, locks it, turns it off, and says, "You're done."
What are we doing here? The amount of fucking fires and explosions that happen because cheap people just want to be fucking cheap.
Oh yeah. In the restaurant industry, the number of fires that happen just because of simple cleaning. Simple cleaning.
Yeah,
Like
clean your fucking hood out. Clean
Yeah.
the grease traps.
Well, the best part, and this is what I tell all of my customers, is if you have, if you got a hood and you've got those filters that are in the hood, you can take those filters out once a week, run them through your dishwasher, that big industrial dishwasher you got, run it through that. That hot steam will melt that grease out of there easier than anyone could ever clean those things.
Yeah. Well, and if
problem.
you just keep up on it, it'll
Yeah.
never be a problem. If you wait until it's a problem that you have to fucking scrape shit off of there, you're gonna regret it, and eventually there's gonna be a fire. Like,
And it's like I have seen, and what's really funny here locally, I have friends that know that this is what I do. I go into restaurants and things of that nature, and they'll
Yeah.
call me up and go, "Hey, we're looking to go to so and so to have dinner. Is it clean? Would you eat there?" Then I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I would eat there," or "No, I would never eat there." Like there's a whole list of restaurants. That's the worst part of my job
Yeah,
is
you get to see
the
you get to see the donuts getting made.
yeah, you just go in and go, I would never fucking eat here. Like I cannot believe you people are eating here, and I can't believe that that the health inspector hasn't come in and shut this shit down. And
Bro,
yeah,
right?
there's some places that I used to love to eat at certain places, and then I went into their kitchen and I'm like, oh my god, I
Ugh.
can't believe I ate here. This is so
Yeah, it
nasty.
looks like they haven't cleaned it since they opened.
Yeah, it's the piles of like jellified grease that's like
Yeah.
sitting at the
In the
corner
corner.
where it's where it's dripped off the appliance, and there's this mound, this like grapefruit size like ball of grease sitting in the floor, and you're like, oh, bro,
Yeah,
so bad.
the walls behind it that look like there's wallpaper, but it's just grease.
Yeah. Or my favorite are the there's an I don't know who came up with the idea, but I see it in almost every Chinese restaurant I go into. Is what they do is they take the drops for the fire system, the pipe that comes down over top of the equipment. They'll
Yeah.
take aluminum foil and they'll cover it with aluminum foil, so they don't clean it. So as soon as when it gets nasty, they just take
I'll
and
just peel it.
they just peel it off and stick another one up. And they never cleaned it they never cleaned it in the first place. So the Reynolds wrap is already like glued, onto the pipe, and they just peel it off and slap another one up.
I was gonna
And
say if you do that from the beginning, that's kind of smart. But if you waited until it was already dirty and then you did it,
I've seen some Chinese restaurants,
That-
man.
that's like the people that refuse to do dishes and they just put like a Ziploc bag in a bowl, eat it, throw the Ziploc bag, and put the bowl back in the fucking cabinet.
I'll just use paper bowls before I go that far. That's a lot of effort. But no, I mean
but-
it's crazy the amount of corners that these companies will take and bring it all back around. We'll go full circle because
Yeah.
I want to finish up.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. We need to finish up. I was
yeah.
gonna say if you learn anything from Pig's Pod, don't start a restaurant. I
Yeah.
don't care how good your grandma's recipes
Yep.
are. I'm trying to think of anything harder. Restaurant is probably the number one hardest fucking business to be successful at.
Without a doubt,
You
without a
will
doubt.
you will be there fucking 120 hours a week.
Yep.
You will be there all day every day
Yep.
and make almost no fucking money and still wondering how you're gonna fucking make bills come together. And you'll see one Yelp review and make you want to fucking unalive and like
A restaurant was one of, not the, but one of the reasons why my parents got a divorce. Is my parents thought that they could run a restaurant, and
nope.
they couldn't. They were hurting so bad financially. Like, my dad had to take a second job to help pay for everything, and then of course he worked for a bug exterminator, and his territory was around where the restaurant is. So usually while he was out making his rounds doing sprayings and all that, he would stop in at the restaurant, and that's where he'd have lunch. He'd
Yeah.
come in, make him a sandwich or something, and sit down and have his lunch, and then he'd go back to work. It used to piss my mom off something fierce because it didn't matter how busy they were. Dad would come in, make him a sandwich, make him a burger or something, eat it real quick, and run back out the door because he only had 30 minutes for a lunch.
yeah.
It wasn't his responsibility to be taking care of the customers. So he'd be sitting there, and mom would be in the weeds up to her neck in orders, and she's got one high school student working as a waitress, and mom's going
He's
as
over
hard as
there casually
yeah,
making a sandwich.
he's drinking his drink, whatever. And that was one of the hugest fights between my parents was over this fucking restaurant, and so I know it. I just say it's not worth it.
No, don't
but,
start a restaurant.
um,
If anything, fucking buy a taco truck or one of those taco stands that
Fucking
you
food
wheel
trucks.
around on the street. Food trucks is the way to go. If you want to start a restaurant, don't start a restaurant. Start a food truck.
Well, let me
You-
caveat that.
you're still gonna be in it 150 grand.
Oh yeah, that's where I was
Even-
going with it.
Even if you buy a used fucking food truck that you've seen at the fucking junkyard and you think it has all the stuff in it, no, it doesn't. You're still looking 120 grand.
Yeah, you will have just as much money in those four wheels as you do
Yeah.
those four walls. That without a doubt. And
Yeah,
it doesn't
but-
matter how much you put into it. But here's here's what I like about food trucks.
Well, the caveat I was going to say is because, if my history teacher taught me anything about history, is that the number one thing for restaurants is location.
Yep.
Guess what you can do with a food truck?
Change your location.
Change your location.
I can't believe that there's not more regulations here locally over food trucks because of that. Because nothing stops me from pulling
Yeah,
up in the parking lot next to your restaurant and
and undercutting you.
and undercutting you, selling the exact same thing you're selling, and you have less overhead. You don't have all this other shit. You know, you're still in debt up to your eyes to put it together, but your overhead's substantially lower. Like the
Yeah.
in the door price is the same. The sustaining price is way less. But
Well, the other
I see
crazy
it
thing
all the time.
about
I love food trucks. They're fun.
oh yeah, food trucks are. There's so many good food trucks like around here. There's a lot.
I've
Uh,
built, God, I've built probably 25 or 30 food trucks. Their kitchens doing what we do.
yeah.
Um,
Well, the other nice thing about the food truck is not only the ability to change your location, but also you can kind of be a little flubsy with your prices.
oh yeah, yeah.
It's crazy what some people will be willing to pay for the basic stuff out of a food truck and pay 2, 3 times the normal price. So if you are hurting or need to make up some margins, drive down the street to a more high end location and fucking charge $18 for a burger.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Well, I think what gets me here locally, because food trucks are becoming a pretty popular thing here in this area. Um, the town that I live in, and the next town over, they do during like the spring, summer, and fall, at least once a month, sometimes twice a month. They do what they call food truck rodeos, where they shut down Main Street downtown, and they bring in a bunch of food truck vendors, and they'll probably have some people selling crafts, and they might have a band, and just basically kind of make of it like a mini festival downtown once or twice
Yeah.
a month, which is great for tourism downtown and great for the community and whatnot.
Yeah.
But
And good for the food trucks.
it fucks the brick and mortars. There is
Yeah.
no brick and mortar restaurant rodeo where they bring in the brick and mortars and they advertise for them. No, they don't do shit for them. Even though
No.
every dollar that those brick and mortar restaurants make, they pay tax to that municipality, and that's it. Whereas if you're a food truck, you do have to keep track of, at least here, different counties have different taxes and prepared food and sales and all that. So
Yeah, depending where you sold it at
yeah.
the time.
So you have to track all of that. But, these food truck rodeos, they bring them in. A lot of times they're setting up their food trucks in front of the restaurants downtown.
Yeah, and
You
there's
know,
nothing they could do
and
about
there's not a damn thing they can do about it.
it. They were already barely making it, and they're all cool. Look at this. Look what's out front, guys.
It's just it's
So
like,
yeah, again, don't open a restaurant.
nope,
If you're that interested in cooking
do a food truck.
and you want to do it for other people, not just your family, do a food truck.
The only
If anything, open a franchise, is what Rabo says.
yeah, no,
If
Rebel's
you're gonna
right. Yeah.
franchise,
Franchising's the way
there's
to go.
there's better franchises than restaurants.
That's true too. That's absolutely true. But
Ma'am, I've looked into franchising fabric stores, which are relatively low price of entry, but there literally is. We live up by a bunch of old people. Like there's real nice houses and a bunch of old people up here, and who fucking does crafts and shit. Old fucking grandmas.
Yep.
There's literally no fabric store. You have to drive 40 fucking minutes to get to a Hobby Lobby. And like my wife and I have seriously looked at it. If we somehow had the money, or if I could just fucking lie and be like, yeah, I fucking Elon Musk is my uncle. Like I have the money. Like he'll put up Twitter as collateral. So
no,
yeah,
I
no,
yeah, I completely agree. There's so many better ways because the other thing with mom and dad with their restaurant, you're open 7 days a week, which
Yeah.
means you're
every
working.
time you're closed, you're just losing money because
Yeah.
you're still paying all the bills.
Yeah, I remember a Thanksgiving when I was a kid, and my parents decided they the first year they were open, they opened for Thanksgiving, and they were open for Christmas Eve, but they were closed Christmas Day.
I feel like
And
those are your biggest days too as a restaurant. That's the
Yeah.
other thing that sucks even
Well,
more.
I remember my parents decided the second year that they were going to close for Thanksgiving.
Mm.
And I remember because the restaurant that my parents had, it was like across, it was kind of out in the woods a little bit. It was in a very very country area, and our house was like across the street from the restaurant, and we were closed for Thanksgiving. And 7 o'clock in the morning, there was somebody beating on our door, and I remember Dad going to the door to like answer to see who it was, and it was one of the regulars that would always come in for coffee in the mornings. And he's like, "Oh, I thought there was a problem. You guys aren't open." And Dad's like, "It's Thanksgiving." And the guy's like, "Oh, you were open last year." And it's like they couldn't take a day off. They literally could not be closed any day because they would, people would become knocking on their door and be like, "Hey, why isn't the restaurant open?" And don't do it. Don't open a
Yeah,
restaurant. Don't do
don't
it.
open a restaurant. If
Don't do
yeah,
it.
at least we had something useful for because I know a lot of our listeners were thinking, I make a pretty fucking mean burger. The other funny thing is like, my history teacher. I have a lot more stories about him. I'll probably have to talk about sometime. He was great. I fucking loved him. The other thing he said a lot about, not only location, so many were about food. You can have the shittiest fucking food and have a successful restaurant. Food quality and taste is part of it, but is not the part of it. Everyone's so fucking. Yeah, just don't open a restaurant. We're
Yeah.
we're done talking about Don't open one. And I don't care how good you think you make a quesadilla. Don't open a fucking restaurant.
Nope. I don't really have a cream of the week this week. I've been so busy with work and
Oh, I kind of do, but I haven't. I don't know.
you
I
want to
kind of have one.
shelve it for the week.
Man, we've been going for 2 hours. Our cream of the week is
Don't
um,
run a restaurant.
don't run a restaurant. Our anti cream of the week. I had two quick things I had up here we never got around to talking about.
Okay.
One, Drunken Halo has 204 episodes.
Okay.
Their
So
last
we're halfway there.
their last release was May 5th, 2019, which for some reason I thought it was like longer ago than that. I was thinking like 17, 18, but yeah, 2009. Well, okay, so 202 was 2000 July 2018. 203 was February 2019. 204 was May 5th, 2019. So they started doing Pigs Pod releases every few months, and then that was the last one. And then the other thing I was going to say is Jack Dorsey, who the ex CEO of Twitter,
OG Twitter.
for 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, he took no stock or compensation from Twitter. He was paid $1.40 per year. So, yeah, just wanted to say that.
Yeah, but what about all his other investments?
Jack was doing fine. And the thing is, if you want your company to succeed,
That's how you do it.
that's how you do it. That's why Jack fucking brought Twitter to what it was today. That's some of the biggest years of their growth. He wasn't taking the money himself, he was putting it back in investments. As far as other people, we won't say anything about Elon Musk.
You mean Uncle Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Busk?
Yeah, my uncle.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
uncle. Talk bad
Yeah.
about your
Anyway,
uncle.
Joanne's Fabric coming soon. Mrs. Smokey's Pizza and me are gonna open at Joanne's. I believe their franchise fee last time I looked was like 150,000.
That's really not that much.
No, not that bad at all for like how big they are. Like the craziest thing, how I was saying it's like 30 minutes away to get to a fabric store. Within 2 blocks of each other, there's a Michael's, a Joanne's, and a Hobby Lobby.
That's the way it is here. That is
But then
it's
there,
the exact same way it is here.
I guess it's kind of like how an AutoZone opens, and then next to it there's an O'Reilly's, and then a fucking, and then a. I think it's the same thing. They like
can't-
follow each other.
I can't speak for any of the other ones other than Lowe's and Home Depot. My mother worked for a Lowe's, and that
Yeah.
that was one of their policies that whenever a Home Depot opens, Lowe's had
Open the Lowe's there?
had to be within 6 miles. That was
Yeah.
their policy. 6 miles.
I guess that's smart. See, you can't do that with restaurants either. You can't go, oh, a Burger King open there. McDonald's doesn't do that. I know it seems like it because there's always Burger Kings and Wendy's and everything by McDonald's. I promise you, I think McDonald's is one of the largest landowners in the world.
I
They
can
own
see
so
that.
much fucking land. Like
I can see
because they do it differently. They buy the land and then lease it to the franchise owners. Yeah, that's the cream of the week, I guess. Don't buy a restaurant. That's the anti cream of the week.
Anti cream of the week. We haven't had that before. We need more of those.
Yeah. McDonald's is already everywhere. McDonald's still owns land too that they don't have restaurants on. They own quite a bit of land. Uh, yeah, I guess other than that, fuck you, Craig. Thanks for Mrs. Moki. Yeah, there's a Maverick on both sides of every single street. Maverick is something fucking else, dude. Uh, I don't think John knows what a Maverick is.
That's a West
I don't
Coast
think
thing.
that. I don't think they've spread that far, even though it's insane when you see a Maverick pop up. The amount of work they do from literally an empty lot to a full grown, ready to go store in 3 months. I've never seen construction like it. I don't know. Maverick has the plans figured out, man. That they will literally plow a lot, and 3 months later, there's a full fucking gas station ready to go. It's insane. Yeah. So when are you opening your restaurant?
Fuck that. All right. Well, that was fun.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping by, Rabble,
Yeah.
Rabble,
Rabble and Mrs. Moki and all that.
Mrs.
Hey,
Moki.
Mrs. Moki.
Yeah, we'll see you next week or the following. Who knows? Let's see if we can get up to 204 at least.
Hey, this Obi Wan, a McDonald's. I love the McDonald's.
You love the Mac and the Donalds?
The McDonald's. All right, guys. Everyone have a great night, and we might be on Thursday for D&D on Mystery Stream. I hope. I hope we're back to D&D on Thursdays. Otherwise, I might try to get back Worship Wednesday. That's kind of the goal. We'll see. So, good night, everybody.
Get back here.